Hey, this is Sebastian from the Metal Gods Meltdown, and today I am joined by
Mark Zonder with A through Z.
congratulations on the killer album A to Z 2. How excited are you guys waiting for this album to drop on June the 6th?
Oh, absolutely. It's been a long time coming. Had to change a few members after the first record. Kind of thought we were onto something. Thought we were going to be moving forward. Kind of a roller coaster ride, but everything happens for a reason, and it's bigger, better, stronger, faster, whatever you want to call it. And I think the album is absolutely amazing. I think
Yeah.
the guys are amazing. Doing the videos and all that kind of stuff, the camaraderie and the love that everybody has for each other and believing in the same project and pulling in the same direction. It's a really great thing to see. It's been a long time since I've seen something like that and been in a band like that. So no, very excited. The response to that first video is like, two or three times the amount that we had on the first video from the last record and stuff. So something's growing. The label's invested. The label's been great. Absolutely great. Metal Blade's been great. And yeah, we're very excited. I definitely think this is a band, but also a record that the strength is in the record. The strength isn't in the singles. There's certain bands that have like 2 to 3 songs that are on their album that are like great and like singles, and the rest of it is kind of just filling up the record.
Mhm.
This strength of this album is all 10 songs could all basically be singles. It's a very strong song to song album. Nothing sounds the same. Extremely well crafted, extremely well recorded. So yes, to answer your question, yes, very excited.
Well, I've been blessed to have the album for a few days now, well, actually a week, and I've been listening to it loads. And every track on the album is fantastic. It's spot on. I particularly love A Wordless Prison, which is my favourite track. For very, very many reasons for myself. I mean, for everyone, isn't it? We all have a reason for liking a particular song for a reason, and there's a reason for me liking that. It's very deep and carries a lot of meaning. How
Absolutely.
how did that album how did that song come together? I mean, that is just it's awesome.
Well, here's the interesting thing that very quickly, there's a couple songs on this record, and this is why this is definitely a band. It's always been a band, but we're not a prog band, okay?
No.
I don't know what you want to call it. Call it a hard rock band. But what's interesting, if we were a prog band, we would have taken Wordless Prison, and it would have been 12 minutes long. You would have had, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah,
a prog band would make an epic out of it, okay?
yeah,
But what we do is songs like that, and Chaotic Symphony is in that realm too, as far as being, quote, a little on the progressive side. We can do it in 5 minutes. We can get it all accomplished. We can make it nice and tight and sweet. It has a nice flow to it. It really moves nicely from part to part. But that song to me is, and I kind of hearken it to songs, and I'm not comparing it, but styles of, let's say, Carry On My Wayward Son.
right.
It has this part, it has an infinite part. It's a hook. Then
Yeah,
you get into the musical part, it's a hook. Then you get into the verse, and it's a hook in the chorus. This song has that same kind of thing, and it's done in a short amount of time. You don't have to drag it out. We just kind of put that together, and we were like, okay, well, we've got this part. Okay, it moves to here. How about we do something in the beginning? A lot of it was based in the very beginning with the bass and the drums with that electronic part that I came up with.
mm,
I don't know if you want to call it the Phil Collins Genesis, Peter Gabriel
yeah,
electronic thing that I'm playing, but Philip just came in, and the bass part really, really, sets that up. And I've always been a big fan of not necessarily doing everything traditionally. You basically have a part that's drums, bass, and vocals. I kind of wanted, and it got voted down, but I heard that intro at a certain part where it'd only be vocals and that drum machine, or not the drum machine, but me playing it, going. No bass,
yeah,
no guitar, just the vocal. But it got voted down. But just we try to push things. We try to make them as creative as possible.
yeah.
And when you have 6 guys that are all very creative,
Hmm.
But I think the real big difference between the first album and the second album is when certain things would happen on the first album, and I would hear things. Ray would come back with vocals,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Wow, he's singing this way. Why don't we change the part and we'll accent with Ray, and it'll be a tight part."
Right.
If I was lucky to get 60 or 70% of the idea across, I would take it and go, "Okay, it's just not. You guys aren't getting it. It's not going to work any further. So let's take this." With this band, the difference is when I say, "Hey, can we try this little part, like accent this?" They'll go, "Hey, Mark, that's really cute, but check this out." And then they'll take that idea and they'll add this and this and this and this, and it just gets it to that point. That's why I think the album is just so special and so different. We don't sound like anybody. It's not one guy just doing everything so it sounds a certain way. I've told each of them, do whatever you want. Be as creative as you want, And when we do vocals, we come up with the music, and when I give it to Ray, I don't tell him where the verse is, or where I think it should be, or where Nick thinks the verse, or Nick thinks the chorus. I mean, that's kind of Ray's job, and sometimes a lot of magic happens because he's singing in spots where you don't expect it, and that to me is magic. That's originality.
It is exceptional, honestly. I mean, I get sent through albums all the time, obviously from Metal Blade and that, but this is one that I keep going back to and keep playing, and I'm really enjoying it. It's exceptional. Everything on it crosses different genres of music as well, and like you're saying, it's definitely not prog. It's hard rock, even a little bit AOR-ish, a little bit. It's everything there, isn't it? It's one of my favorite albums of 2025, without a doubt. So, as a seasoned musician, where do you get the energy from to still be doing what you do?
Speaking just strictly for myself, I've just been blessed, and I've told my kids this, that since 7 years old, I've had a song in my head. I've had a beat in my head. It's just constant. It's just, I play every day. I'm in the recording studio right now, and the drums are behind me in the recording room, and I'm in the control room right now. But every day I just play. I just love to play. I love to create. I mean, I have literally hundreds of grooves at various tempos that I just record, ideas that I come up with. I'm not going to say it's my great escape and, I can leave the world behind. And I just love doing it. I know this is going to sound funny, but every musician out there will tell you this. They might not tell you this, but they know it. I play to impress myself. I play to record something and go, wow, Mark, that really is something. And I know because I'm my own worst critic, so I know if I like it or I'm impressed by it, you will be, well, hopefully, and everybody else will be. I'm like my worst critic. So, no, it just keeps going. It just keeps going and going, and as long as you're physically able and mentally able, why not? I mean, I love doing it. I still have stuff to prove. I always felt, I never quite got to where I wanted to go. And as long as you don't give up, anything is possible, and I think I kind of proved that here, especially this day and age where, they're not handing out record deals, it's not the 80s. Let's just put it that way. It's not the 80s anymore. So it's just hard work and finding the guys that you love, that you trust, that are mature, that can communicate, that get it, that are pro. So no, I've been blessed that it's just kind of in me. I don't really think about it. It just pulls me. It pulls me in.
Brilliant. So what about on release day then? Do you guys have anything planned? Are you going to have like a big party, do a live feed, anything like that?
Well, everybody lives all across the country, unfortunately. Nick and myself live, close to each other, about 30 miles away, but Philip's in Arizona, Jimmy's in Chicago, Simone's in Italy, Ray's in Spain. I wish there was, but we just don't have anything like that going because we're not close together. What we're really working on right now is getting live tour dates.
Yeah.
Whether it's a tour or dates or whatever the case may be, we have a lot of people working on it for us. It's very tough. But also, I think people don't know what this band is. They don't know. Yeah, it's Ray, it's Mark, it's Philip, but they don't know like how it would work on a touring thing. So I think a lot of it also has to do with the album coming out, and if the album creates a stir, which
Mm.
hopefully that it will. I
Yeah,
mean, hopefully, I mean, it sounds like, you're ready to stir it. You get it.
I
You
do. Love it.
appreciate it, get it. Like you said, it's just not another record. I mean, I think we've covered it from the artwork to the production to the songs. I mean, I don't think we missed anything. I really don't. And there's a vibe between the band that wasn't there the first time around. If you watch the first video of Nothing Is Over, that's just us being us in the background. We didn't stage that, or we didn't that. It was just a fun time and a fun hang for everybody, and that's really important in a band. And I think that really shows in the music, where I've heard it several times that it sounds like we've played together for 10 years. You
Yeah,
know, so I mean, some of us have technically, some of us have played together for 10 years, but
yeah.
as a collective thing, and it was just great doing the videos. I was the only guy playing, because I had to play, and you know I was rocking out the whole time, and I felt it. I felt the magic of what this would be like live. I'm playing away, and I look up and I see Philip over there, and Jimmy, and Ray's doing this thing, and I thought to myself, man, this has got to get to a stage. This will be something. It's just dealing with pros is what it is.
Absolutely. I mean, and hopefully then you will get over the pond then to Europe. I mean, if Ray's in Spain already, that's a
Yeah, yeah.
start.
No, exactly. No, we're ready to do. Had the discussions with the label who's helping us look for different
Mhm.
things, that we're not looking necessarily for the perfect chance, but we need to get up and get out and not wait. But it is kind of the day and age too. You have to remember, this isn't the day and age of the 70s where your album came out and you were on tour that day.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's plenty of times where the album needs to come out. It needs to get a buzz. It
Mhm.
needs to have that other video come out behind it. It needs to have people talking about it. And that kind of generates the interest of like, oh, now we're going to book the band because we know, whether it's sales or reviews or whatever, the people talking, that we'll be able to put people in a place. So, that wouldn't surprise me either. So but we're doing everything we can because we understand how important it is.
Brilliant. And of course, Robbie Wyckoff, I think I've said that right, and Linda
Yes.
Chase appear on some of the
Yep.
tracks. Would there be plans for them to even maybe join you on stage at some of these hopeful shows?
No, the other guys sing, so that would be fine. I mean, we're just not in a position to do that,
Right.
financially. This isn't Pink Floyd, you know what I mean? All the other guys do sing though, so but I just brought those in because they add that different voice.
Yeah.
It's Ray could have sang all that stuff, and there's a lot of stuff on there that Ray sang his own harmonies and stuff, and
Uh,
that's fine and that's great. But it's not about who's good and who's bad. It's just about the different voices.
mhm.
It's giving that feel. It's like when Philip played the cello on Chaotic Symphony. I had a good friend of mine, Grant Kirkhope, play violin on top of it too. I mean, I'm not saying that I could have played the violin, but if you're looking to add different sounds, it doesn't take away from anybody in the band. I think it just adds to the sound. And when you think back to the 70s and 80s, there's so many bands, I could think of 100 of them that brought in all these other guys from other bands to sing the background parts because it just adds such a flavor that you can't get with just one guy's voice, because it's the same voice, even though it might be a harmony. It's the same timbre, it's the same sound. So when you have like a female voice that's tucked in there, even though she kind of sounds like, not like a guy, but she doesn't sound like a real thin person, but it just adds the fullness to it. So that's the important part of that. Just again, it's about the song and the end result of the music.
Totally. So you sort of hinted about the album artwork. I mean, the whole thing is the whole package. So can you explain then? Is it a crocodile or an alligator, and why has it got his mouth zipped up?
Alligator's an A, right?
Yeah.
And a zipper is a Z, right?
Ah, there we go. Very good.
Yeah, it's funny the way the first album came about is I love Hugh's artwork. I've been in touch with him over the years, and on the first album with the apple and the zebra,
Yeah.
I just told him the name of the band and he went with it. So
Why didn't
he
I
went,
think of that? I didn't
oh,
know that. I didn't
oh
even.
yeah. So he went with that by himself, and all the rest of the artwork that you see, you see like the different things like the Zippo lighter and the ant and the zebra and the everything. You look around, and even on this album, if you look closely, you'll see a lot of A through Z kind of stuff.
Oh,
You
very
know, you're going
clever.
to see an airplane, you're going to see a Zenith TV that's at the bottom of the ocean. But the second time around, I was working with my friend Mark Cubbage, and we were just kind of throwing ideas around of like the names. We
Mm.
didn't have it set that it was going to be animals, or teeth. It wasn't about that. It was just okay. What names you got? Okay, zombie, Xeon, blah blah, different things. And we came up with the whole thing with the alligator and the zipper. And I just told Hugh the idea, and then he ran with it. You know,
Yeah.
I, he knew what I was talking about, and it's amazing because if you look closely, there's all kinds of little things, that are in there. We made sure that the zipper had the little A through Z marking on it. And uh, did they send you the full album or just the cover?
I've got the full album, but just the cover. I just got sent the cover digitally,
Okay.
so that's why I was like, now you said it. As soon as you said it, was like, of course.
Stuff all over. You'll see the zebra in the background, and then on the rest of the artwork, you're going to see the armadillo. You're going to see the
Right.
Zippo lighter. You're going to see other artwork that ties into it. Because again, I can't sell you a $50 steak and give you a $15 hamburger and
Hmm.
expect you to be happy or come back for the next one. It's like, and this is just really that my whole theory in the beginning when I started is if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right.
Yeah.
None of this go to the website and look at the album cover that my daughter did, or none of that kind of stuff. I know people do it, but I just didn't want to do that. I think this band, musical wise, someone wants to sit there. They want to hold that
Like in the
alligator.
old days. Yeah, like the
Yeah,
old days.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
even to the point of the discs have different labels on the inside.
Hmm.
Side one is A, side B is Z.
Hmm.
I mean, it has the different things. My friend Mark took that picture, the yellow picture of the alligator, trying to bite the guy in the butt. Like the "Beware of Alligator" sign that we use for the middle disc. So
Uh-huh.
thought went into everything. There's nothing that this band does that we don't like overthink it and really go, okay, how can we be overly creative? How can we like kind of be special and stand out from the other bands? Because I think that's important. As much as you do it with music, you need to do it with your packaging. And I don't think a lot of bands put time and energy into it. And also, too, the whole social media thing. I'm not a big fan of it because I didn't grow up with it.
Hmm.
But you do all these videos, and then okay, I do the playthroughs on the drums, to promote the songs. Then I've done, videos about my set, my recording studio, about different techniques, my philosophies on music and all that kind of stuff. You have to try to do as much as you can to push a band forward, or if not, just call it a project, record your little songs, put it out, and that's kind of it. But that's not what I wanted to do.
But that was the thing. I mean, like, I just always think of Power Slave, Iron Maiden Power Slave album when that came out. I mean, I was 14 years old. I remember buying that and you just stared at it. And there was all the little different things in there. And that was what it was all about. And like we've lost that with the internet and everything. And I guess like, because it was just sent to me digitally, I've not really looked into it. And like now you're saying makes sense. So that's where we've lost what we've lost.
Oh yeah, no. When you get, I'm not sure if you've seen the videos that they show the albums, the different colored vinyls, and they show
Yeah, I've
all
seen
the
that.
different
Yeah.
things. You can tell you're going to take that and you're going to open up the album,
Mm.
and it's going to have the various stuff in it, and the same with the vinyl, and it's going to have the big booklet. Every song has a creatively made street sign that
Mm.
attaches to the song. So just
Yeah.
just all kinds of little stuff, and just trying to give the complete package.
That's what it is, isn't it? You're
Yeah,
absolutely
I
right.
mean,
So,
but who's doing it these days on this level? Because obviously we want to get to the next level, but I
mm,
don't know who's doing it on this level right now. At that, you
not
know.
really. No, not really. And the major annoyance of mine is this AI business. I mean, I know like bands are skint and that, and the way of saving money, but it's just taking the art away, isn't it? When you're using AI for your band cover and album cover, and that is so it's refreshing to know that your album is purebred.
Absolutely, but also too, I could be okay with that. I could be okay with the AI album cover if when I listened to your record, I said, "Oh, they put all their money into the production, and the production is just glorious," but
Mm.
it's not like that.
No, no.
because you usually listen to the production, you go, oh, they're using a drum machine, they're using samples, they've cut it to the grid, and they've reamped it in that guitar sound that everybody uses. So, I mean, I understand finances and stuff, but again, at this point in the game, you just need to really try to get as much out of what you have as possible, And
Absolutely.
Hugh's been great to us. He works with us. He understands that we're not a big band, so it works out for everybody. But I think it's important to have that legacy, that album to album, who it is, because that's going back to the 70s. You would see albums and who it was before,
Exactly.
kind of thing. So hopefully there's a revival there. We're trying to bring rock back,
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but we'll see. Metal Blade has been awesome. They're totally invested in this. So let's see what kind of push we can put on this and what kind of reaction is going to happen when the actual album comes out.
Absolutely. So do you keep for yourself the different albums like Metal Blade had produced? Do you keep them yourself as a treasure sort of thing? Do you do that?
I used to, and I used to collect like everything. Like I have a Perfect Symmetry bass drum head because back in the day, you'd print it out and then you'd have to cut it out and stuff. But I have it framed over there. Hugh Syme did the Perfect Symmetry album and he signed it and everything. And I have various other artwork that I have. But I've kind of come to a conclusion that what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it all and I'm going to auction it all off and donate it to charity. I mean,
Cool.
I have like these Warlord kind of gold records from Greece or whatever, and I have other things, the Warlord print from one of the albums that Johannes signed and everything. And I'm getting to that point where I don't need it around me to make me feel good, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I could donate all this,
Yeah.
and help somebody else as compared to, I don't need to look at, like the album cover from the first A through Z album. I mean, I love it. I think it's great. I know what it is. Let's move on to the next one and the next one and the next kind of thing. I mean, it's cool. My kids really don't care, so it's not like I'm leaving it for my kids. But I have a lot of stuff that I'm going to be auctioning off. I have all the Warlord bass drums that I've used over the years that have the album covers on it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That are just sitting. But what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do? I mean, am I going to bust them out in the next tour? I mean, what am I going to do? So, like I said, if I can auction them off, make a few bucks, and then donate it, like Metal Massacre 2 that I sent to my mom, that they just put it on the shelf. I have like a lot of early stuff that I used to just send to them, and then when they passed away, I got it back, and I'm like, wow, I just don't keep stuff like that. I don't really necessarily go back and listen to what I've done. I usually listen to what I'm working on at the time over and over and over. Like this record, I must have heard 50 to 100 times, within the last 6 months. Easy, because I listen to it every day, if I go to the gym or whatever, especially when we're in that writing stage, because then you're like creating, ooh, let me hear this. I'm going to change this. Now, obviously, it's done. So I'm just listening to it to listen to it.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. I put it on my phone for the gym today, and that's what I was listening to at the gym today. Funny you should say that. So, yeah.
It works pretty good at the gym, though, doesn't it?
It does.
It doesn't work so good. It works. It kicks you in the pants.
It does. It does. It really does. All right. So can I ask you a little bit then about Warlord?
Sure.
Are you going to be doing anything else with Warlord, do you think?
Yeah, we have gigs coming up at the end of June into July. It's just a really small run. It's just really focused around opening up for Judas Priest on July 2nd in Milan. Okay, we'll play 7 or 8 quick songs. But, it's funny though, because I do know Rob, because he used to rehearse at my studio in LA when he was doing Halford with Metal Mike back in the day. Really super, super nice guy. I'm sure he won't remember me, but I'll remind him. But and we're playing a couple smaller shows like Holland, Germany, that kind of thing, just because we're going to be there. We're talking about doing new music. I think if we're going to do new music, it's time to kind of turn the page and take this lineup and write new music in the Warlord style. And if people like it, great. And if they don't like it, that's fine too. But, it very much goes under the Riot, like what Riot did. You
Uh-huh.
know, bands change. I mean, don't tell me that, Iron Maiden didn't change from Paul Di'Anno to Bruce Dickinson. I mean, tell me
Yeah.
that other bands, but here's the difference. We didn't kick Bill out of the band, okay? You know
No,
what I
no.
mean? He
Yeah, yeah,
passed
yeah.
away. I mean, what am I
Yeah.
supposed to do? You know?
Exactly.
People want to see it. The shows are great. People are enthusiastic. I mean, merchandise sells like crazy. People have to remember when they start bringing in negative comments that, number one, this was not a band that toured for 40 years. This is not a band that had 30 releases like a lot of these bands have had.
Hmm.
It was very limited. So the fact that we can bring it back and people are interested in it and they like it, why not? You know?
Absolutely.
I love playing those songs. I never played them enough, obviously. I loved playing them with Bill when we played, the limited amount of shows. But these guys, Eric and Diego, play it note for note. That was the big thing when we started doing this. I told everybody, I go, we're playing this note for note. Okay, don't think you're going to have some guitar solo. Don't think we're going to do a blues jam, and don't tell me how. Well, this is how I feel it. Okay, no. Look at it as a total, full-on, 100% cover band, because that's what I'm doing too. I'm playing what I played. People want to hear, you know, what it was. That's what they remember. They, all of a sudden we played a song with a completely different feel. They'd be like, "What's
Yeah.
this?"
Exactly.
So no, the guys
Exactly.
are great. Everybody's great. Just they nail it the way it's supposed to be, and we have a really good time. All the guys are really good, friends and stuff like that. So it's fun. It's fun.
Amazing. Right. I'm going to go back to
Sure.
A to Z.
Okay.
I notice, like, these days, everyone has tattoos. Looks like none of you got tattoos. The A to Z, that logo, I reckon you should all get an A to Z logo tattoo for Christmas.
Okay. Here's the story. It's funny you say it's here. It's funny you say that. Couple things. Couple things. Number one, I get totally blown away when I see people with like the warlord tattoos. It completely blows me away. Funny story. You got to remember Fate's Warning, Parallels record, everything's going great. Okay, things are happening, and all of a sudden grunge comes in and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it killed the band. And we joked, it's like, okay, who's getting dreadlocks and who's getting the tattoos? You know? Everybody in this band, I think, I haven't looked closely. I don't look closely, but what you see, I don't see anything. Nobody has them. They could have them in places that I don't know about. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't shower together.
Yeah.
Hey, if someone wanted to, hey, that's great. I'm a real firm believer in everybody can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you want to have one right here, go for it, man. Go for it.
Nah, I drew the line there.
I know. Everybody has their different things. Myself personally, besides religion-wise, I would never do it. Just not, this not my thing. Whatever
Okay.
anybody else wants to do, God bless them.
Well, again, I want to congratulate you on the album. Do you have any final words for your fans, our viewers, and listeners?
No, just sit tight. We're working on the live thing. We're going to make it happen one way or another. It has to happen. The truth is the label is so invested that it has to happen. They just can't let it die. We're going to do in cooperation, we're going to work together. We've been working together. We're going to make this happen. We got to get out and play live. I realize it's 70%. This is something everybody wants to do. It's not like they go, "Oh man, do we really have to?" They want to do it. It's just this day and age, it's very difficult. That's all I can say.